Welcome to Voice of the Fat Mantis and my review of the first episode of House of the Dragon. That's right, the Targaryens are back, and starting from the opening scene, or actually something I wish was the opening scene. The actual real opening scene was kind of a drag. It was old people are in Harrenhal, they're being old and fuddy-duddy, and they're kind of counting votes or looking at things. It was really a horrible scene that they could have left out and explained later on in actual narrative. But the second opening scene, which they really should have opened on, is the skies over Westeros. And to create the mood, they have a young lady riding on a dragon, just as most of the end of Game of Thrones was for us. House of the Dragon will be doing the same thing, and I was loving it. And I loved it that it came down to the Red Keep and it flew around over the houses, and we actually got to see a fully constructed dragon's den, which they normally keep the dragons, the stables. I loved it, and from that moment on, I wouldn't say I was captured, but I was a kind of finagled. They greased my palm. Now, before we get into any more details, I'm going to need you to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis so we can talk more about House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, theories, all sorts of shenanigans, and all this wonder. But let's get back to it. Back when Game of Thrones was originally airing, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. So it is my great honor to be able to actually review and now analyze this. I understand I'm along with you. I'm one of those people who was very upset the way it ended. Honestly, the entire last season could have done without. But that's neither here nor there because we are in the House of the Dragon. I'm going to start off by saying the acting was amazing, particularly my man Matt Stiff, my favorite Doctor Who, and apparently my favorite villain. He played a really good asshole. It's almost like he's an asshole in real life. Honestly, I loved the young lady who is the daughter of the dragon, the one who probably is going to end up queen, and her friend Alicent. Excellent. The tone, the setting, everything. Even when they got down to the combat, as we all know, there was a jousting tournament scene in Game of Thrones, and it was actually pretty ghetto. And at the time, I was like, are they at medieval times dinner and tournament? Because this is kind of lackluster. And when it came down to it, it really was, because now that they have a full budget, we got to see a real jousting tournament. It was in a castle. It was a giant arena, thousands of people cheering it on. Violence beyond violence. I absolutely loved it. It was about that point as it was happening that I really got into this. Now, the opening episode is so good because within that 1 hour, they tell us every character, what their character arc is, who they are, what they want, what their alliances are, and we're just set running like a hound, set after a rabbit. As you can tell, I really enjoyed this, and I really thought it was amazing. Now, it brings back everything that we love about Game of Thrones, such as the sex, the violence, and downright depravity. And on the basics of the episode, I gotta say, these dragons have never looked so beautiful. You get to actually see how they are in the stables and move around, and there's just a lot of, they're not shortchanging us the way they did in Game of Thrones. Trust me, there were some beautiful dragons in there, but I'm really loving this. It's really high budget dragonry, and I love it. I love that they call the yellow one Cyrax. I wonder if George R. R. Martin has any connection with Mortal Kombat, if he was playing back in the day when he came up with these names, because that is so funny. I was expecting the red one to be Sector, but apparently he's Carverax, the bloodworm. So close enough, but who knows? Maybe there'll be a blue one called Sub-Zero. Sorry for wasting your time with that. That was just stupid. Sorry. Spoiler alert real quick. Now that the non-spoiler people have gotten out of my room, let's talk about this. So the Queen, what they do to the Queen is so disgusting. Now, I know a lot of people think that it has to do with the A word, and it was a political statement about what's going on. This was written and certainly done filming before any of that stuff went down. It is not about the more modern issues, although it could be. Deep down inside, as you can certainly take a lesson from it. But really what happened to the Queen was the idea that back then, unfortunately, women had one real task, which was taken seriously. Unless they were like a priestess of somebody, you better be giving us those babies. And if you don't, well, we're going to cut you up till you do. It was horrific. It was horrifying. It was everything I thought I loved about Game of Thrones. Just because I felt like hurling the entire time. Moving on to the violence, during the joust scene, when Daemon Targaryen hits the rail and he's being dragged and he's lighting along I felt his humiliation, and I just felt the action. I was like, I wanted him to get up and murder everybody. That almost happened. It didn't quite happen, but it told us so much about his character. It's amazing. Now, also in specifics, I gotta say another standout, disgusting, depraved scene, I have to say, is Alicent. She is about a 15 or 16-year-old girl at the time, and her father, Otto Hightower, sends her to make the king feel better about his life. It was disgusting. It really upset me on every level. I even had to ask my friends, because they didn't show it blatantly. I was like, did he make his daughter put out? And everyone's like, yeah. It was like, okay. I really am back in Game of Thrones, aren't I? So that's, we all know where that's headed. Clearly, prediction time. Clearly, that's going to produce a male heir, which will go someplace. Shout out to both Lainey and Grey Winthrop for helping me come up with those ideas right there. And I got to say, the standout character, my man Daemon. Daemon Targaryen was amazing. Now, what it is I think everybody thinks that it's going to be him versus his niece, Rhaenyra, which, by the way, that had a weird sexual tension. I know you felt it. If you didn't feel it, you're probably ignoring it. I guess they're Targaryens. But yeah, moving on. But honestly, I do not actually think that's what it is. Now, spoiler alert, there's going to be a time jump. Now, when I discovered this, I was like, say it ain't so. And they're going to change the actresses for both Rhaenyra and Alicent. And I'm like, oh, I already love these actresses. They should have found a way to age them up. But instead, they're getting older chicks to play them. And honestly, this is really good about Rhaenyra fighting against her bastard half-brother, who will be Alicent's child. The male heir that the king always wanted to have. And honestly, I actually believe that my man Daemon is not going to be a fight. He's not going to fight her for the throne, but instead back her. The one person we would expect to have a rebellion and be a real badass and attack his own niece, who he has great sexual tension with, is actually going to be her probably biggest supporter, and I'm all about it. I really can't wait. It's been a while since there's been a show other than Strange New Worlds, that I really couldn't wait for the next episode. I'm like counting down the minutes. And this is it. Game of Thrones burnt me. I think they burnt us all. And I can't believe they were able in just one episode. It took half an episode to get me back into it. I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, this is going to be amazing. I really hope they hold up on the time jump. I'm liking this time period right now. And honestly, I don't want to see those actresses go away. I'm kind of like, you already feel one way about it. This is like a Star Wars Phantom Menace situation. You see who Anakin is, you either love or hate him, and then before you're allowed to have more thoughts on him, they just switch the actor. They're like, by the way, 10 years has gone by. What? Thanks for wasting 2 of my hours. We should have started when he was 20. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. The real question is, what did you think of it? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis for more House of the Dragon, GOT, and other nerddom reviews and analysis. Until next time, ciao. For now, bitches.